Hello and welcome. I am Light and this is my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about two little girls who had tragedy strike. It's a mystery, and it's a strange mystery because they actually photographed the man who probably killed them. So we're going to talk about them. You're going to see his picture, and we're going to see what your thoughts are on this case. Before I get started, I do have a link for donations. If you are interested in donating, it is by far just voluntarily. You do not have to feel pressured. If you would like to, then anything is much appreciated. The link is www.patreon.com/exitlight with the E being capitalized. And like I said, this is absolutely unnecessary, but if you wish to, I would appreciate it very much. All right, let's start talking about these little girls. Eerie photographs show the hill where the two young teen girls were ordered to walk down by their killer before he murdered them in rural Indiana. This is the location of the final death march by Abby Williams, who was just 13 years old, and Liberty German, who was 14, after they recorded their murderer's chilling command to go down the hill. The murder investigation's chief detective, who has heard the entire tape from which the audio fragment comes, describes the killer as having the voice of the devil coming through him. Libby German was really quick on her toes when she thought to put her phone with the video camera on in her pocket as the man who would eventually kill them cornered them on the bridge. An Indiana local who wants to go by LH and doesn't want to be identified told the news that she finds that spot where the girls met and filmed their murder so creepy that whenever she goes, she carries a gun. LH, who has visited this location multiple times, describes in detail the spot where the schoolgirls were abducted on February 13th, 2017. I hope I pronounced this right. It is the Monon High Bridge, a hiking trail near the tiny Indiana town of Delphi, northwest of Indianapolis. She says when you are walking down the trail and approaching the bridge, the trail makes a turn and you can slowly see it approaching you, LH said. This feels very creepy to me. She goes on to say, I don't know if it's me or just what, but that bridge and walking up to that bridge around the curve feels evil. LH reveals that the bridge is higher and more treacherous than it looks, and some of the cross posts called ties are even missing or rotten. The hill the girls were forced down is steeper, and once on it, a person would feel trapped with no way out. The girl should not have been on that bridge, LH said. One thing we know about that killer, it's pretty obvious that that guy wasn't afraid of heights. Nobody actually said it, but he must not be to walk on a bridge like that, or he walked that bridge many times before. The two girls were found dead down the hill the following day. Their bodies bore strange signatures at the kill site across Deer Creek in Woodland. The bridge is a lot bigger than it looks in photos, said LH, whose fear of heights meant initially she crawled across the 7-foot-5-story-high structure. The signatures that the killer left have never been released by police, and I believe there were 8 different signatures. It is maybe 3 feet across the bridge. The space between the gaps is not enough for your foot to slide through unless you turn it sideways. My foot fell through several times, and part of a board fell down into the creek once." And she goes on, "Down where you see him on that photo, the image that was captured by Libby German on her phone, is especially mushy, and I was scared there. It's not too far from the end." A video taken by a local grandfather of the walk along the Monon Bridge, recorded 4 months before the murders, shows just how precarious it is to walk on the structure. The two girls, who attended Delphi Community Middle School, where they played saxophone and volleyball together, had visited this bridge before the day they died. The Monon Bridge Trail attracts hunters, fishers, campers, and kids hiking or just taking photos of this popular spot. It was warm that day. In fact, it was unseasonably warm that day, and the two best friends were dropped off at 1:35 p.m. for their walk. This started at a location which LH told the news has since been fenced off with bent red metal gate. At 2:09 p.m., Libby used her mobile phone to upload a picture of Abby walking on the iconic bridge to Snapchat. The girls were due to be picked up by Libby's grandfather, Mike Patty, her legal guardian, in the trailer car park at 3:15 p.m., but failed to show up. By 5 p.m., the girls' families were out searching for them, and by 6 p.m., most of the town, which has a population of about 3,000, had joined the police, but the girls were not found. At around noon the next day, the search resumed, and some searchers found the girls' body about 50 feet from the north bank of Deer Creek, on the property of a 77-year-old man, Ron Logan, who was not considered a suspect. One investigator into the as-yet unsolved murder has revealed that the girl's killer left several strange signatures, which I told you about, at the kill site. I wonder if that's somebody's way of trying to be caught. Are those clues, maybe? It has never been revealed if those odd signatures were part of the murder method or done post-mortem. LH told the news that the condition of the bridge had seriously deteriorated in the past 3.5 years since the murders. "Every time I go there, it gets worse and worse," she said. "You can grab onto pieces of wood and pull it right off the ties. The place where Libby was standing when she took the video has filled in slightly with brush. If they were standing there now, there would have been foliage covering her view of the killer. There is moss growing on some spots where the ties are spongy, likely contributing to the decay, and there are vines growing all over the area." LH went on to say, "When I walk to the bridge, everything is so quiet and calm that it's almost as if that bridge is saying, 'I dare you,' while trying to hide the fact that the girls died there. People say that there was a guy behind the tree in the photo of Abby in the woods, but it's impossible to stand in that area, so we know that that's not right. They've also said they see a guy coming onto the bridge." Speculation has also arisen that the comments by Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, who was in charge of the case about the killer's voice of the devil comment, had hidden meaning. It has been suggested that this meant the crime scene had signs of satanic ritual, but there is no evidence of that, nor any indication by police how the girls were murdered. The site where the bodies were found was about 2,600 feet from the high bridge where Libby had photographed Abby the afternoon before. How the girls were murdered has never been released, as Carter says, because only the killer knows. But I'm wondering if it was something like a ritual killing, if it might not be better to tell people so that they can look out for signs that people are interested in that topic that might help them have a clue to who the murderer is, considering they also have a photograph of the man. Anyway, on Libby's body, police found her mobile phone, and then they found that it was on and had a video of a man on the Monon High Bridge. He is a white male with his hands in his pockets while walking. He is wearing jeans, a navy blue jacket, and maybe a cap. He is walking at a fast pace across the rail bridge planks, which is no mean feat, as they are separated by sizable gaps, straight towards the girls. It's amazing we have a video, we have a still photograph, we have sound, and we still don't know who this person is, he says. The video and audio, which is incredibly captured by Libby as the girls were in the midst of being ambushed and then murdered, has been broadcast around the world and sparked thousands of tips, but led to no arrest. Both Carter, the local sheriff, and other law enforcement and Delphi citizens themselves are convinced because of the location of the girl's abduction and murder, the killer was a local or a former resident with intimate knowledge of that site. One former investigator on the case told a podcast down the hill that the killer, who police have now confirmed they believe is the man Libby captured on her phone, left a lot of evidence at the scene. He said someone knows who the killer is, but was keeping quiet because of extreme fear. Please come forward and let us know what you know, Carter said. There is obviously someone withholding information, Carroll County Sheriff Toby Lisenby told the conference. It could very well be somewhere along the lines that someone was even threatened to not reveal the identity of the killer. Police released 2 very different sketches of the face of the killer, one soon after the murder and another based on an interview with a person who may have seen the culprit near the Monon High Bridge on the day of the murder. In the second sketch, the man is much younger and with a full head of hair rather than a cap on his head. Carter said the killer's age has been estimated between 18 and 40. Both Carter and the sheriff believe the killer has a connection to Delphi, whether it's an individual that previously lived in our community and knows the area where the girls were located very well, or possibly still is in our community. Because unless someone absolutely somehow studied that particular trail in great depth, they would not know specifically where certain things were, Lisenby said. Another theory is that the killer worked at the nearby meatworks, which is why he was wearing so much clothing, wearing a hoodie under his blue jacket on such a warm day. The DTH podcast theorizes that one person with considerable knowledge of the area committed the crime and had been planning it for some time. DTH said that the killer likely grew up walking those woods or spends a lot of time outdoors and had come to see the bridge as the perfect trap. After anyone visiting the bridge crosses the creek, the rest of the bridge is obscured on all sides by woodland, creating privacy for anyone to commit a crime. And once you are there, you can only go forward to the point where the bridge ends and private property begins. DTH speculates the man rehearsed his plan, walked the route, and was ready to act whenever a suitable victim appeared. He passed the girls on the bridge, and then he turned back, and when the girls noticed him walking back in their direction, Libby started recording. Gaining control of them with a knife or a gun, he forced them to turn northward and down the hill. They walked through the woods and across the creek until they reached the spot where they were found and likely murdered there. Carter said the Monon High Bridge is now considered by many in Delphi to be hallowed ground. LH told the news that it took her an hour to cross Monon High Bridge, and once she had done so, she wasn't going to cross back the same way, crawling on her knees. She said she went off down at the end, only went on the other side of the bridge. The hill was pretty steep, and my shoes were sliding down the mud. We have a lot of clay here in Indiana, so it's like standing on churned butter. I didn't want to go on the side where the girls went because there was a no trespassing sign right by the driveway, and the side looked steeper than the side I went down. It was very hard to get through the grass and the terrain to go back. Then I realized I had to cross the creek. It was an awful feeling of being trapped with no way out of there. I can only imagine what the girls felt being down there with their killer. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you have any information on this case, please call the Delphi Police or the FBI. If you would please give this video a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed, please do so. And click that bell so that you can get my content when it's loaded. Thank you, and good night.